And we're rolling.
Yep. Yeah, we were just discussing our current state of readiness for today's podcast. It's always fun putting these together.
Well, it's funny is the when we're getting ready to do this stuff, it's all the stories that we find that are happening today on top of the things that we were planning for. You know, like the thing you found with what's going on with the Fred Hartman Bridge.
Right. Yeah, let's I'll tell you what, before we talk about the morons, let's talk about something that's pretty important. Let's talk about 9/11 a little bit.
Okay.
So we're celebrating the anniversary. What is it? The 18th? Is
yes.
it the 18th anniversary of it?
Remembrance, right?
Yeah. I really don't call it a celebration either. Everybody does, but yeah. So I think it's interesting because I think you and I have similar takes on it. You and I were talking earlier about this, and when we read social media and we see some of the negative speak that goes on about this time. It kind of annoys me a little bit. I'm talking mostly about congresswomen and senators that are not of this country but have found their way into our hallowed halls of government.
People who have fucking bullshit opinions, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's still people out there hurting. There's people that don't have family members. Right. There's people that are injured. There's people that are dealing with illnesses and potential death. And this year they finally did something in Washington to take care of that. And that's 18 years. That's just too long.
Right. Well, like I told you before we come on the air, was ordinarily like on the 11th, September 11th, I tend just kind of go silent that day. Very little action, interaction. Yeah. And because of some freaking turmoil that was going on at my house yesterday that I've been dealing with for the last few days, it was like this culmination of this event that I was trying to unfuck at the house, and then reading what was going on social media, and then I kind of extrapolate out from the day that it happened all the way till now, and I start seeing comments that are being made from people that are kind of motherfucking the U.S. policy or involvement in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I saw it across a couple of different pages that I look at, and it was just their takes on the policy and how they disagreed with it. And when I kind of queried some of them as hey, where are you in proximity to weighing, and this is I have a very prejudiced opinion about people who weigh in on foreign policy on top of all that.
Well, the uneducated for sure.
Yeah,
opinion without fact is just that.
And I'm going to say that it's just my opinion about your opinion, and I'm not going to say that I'm right over another, but the fact that there are people that went out and did things. If you have the good fucking idea, then you want to take it to the people because you say that it's going to help your community, or you're going to pick up a gun and fight because it's going to help your community.
Right.
Sitting on a good fucking idea and motherfucking everybody does nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, shut your fucking mouth.
No, I agree.
So the timing of me reading all these things while I was dealing with my bullshit at the house, I fucking unloaded with a very good penned writing from one of the guys that I served with in Afghanistan, and I consulted.
That was an excellent, well written rebuttal that he had. I really enjoyed that.
But I don't like stealing people's words without them knowing, and I'm always going to cut their name out of it because I don't want them getting fucking unwarranted
hate mail
blowback from bullshit like that. So I'll take the fucking heat for that stuff because I agree with it 100%.
Right.
And then I followed it up with my own comments about that stuff, and right or wrong, just because I don't I guess because I think there's certain people's opinions were fucking bullshit.
Right.
They can view what I had to say as bullshit too. And I don't really care, but I'm gonna fucking tell you. I'm not gonna back down from that.
Completely agree. Also, too, there's the Benghazi thing that happened in 2012 where we lost four people there, and the more disconcerting side of that is the fact that elected officials, elected representatives from the president down, were culpable for that action.
Yeah,
and it kind of brings me. It's funny because I'm like you. It's kind of a sullen day for me as well. I clearly remember the activities of minute by minute, from the minute it happened to the minute I got home a week later after it happened.
Right.
And having people at the airport that were supposed to join us in Vegas, the anxiety of knowing were they in the air or not, that was a big deal.
Right.
So it's kind of so think about it. On September 10th, 3,000 people lived a normal life, did daily things. They didn't come home the next day. I mean, that's how I look at it.
That's a very sobering moment.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just, we just wanted to just say, hey, we just wanted to mention that because, we're not going to gloss over it anymore. But anyway, that's kind of the events this week, and moving us to back to the buffoonery and the insanity of the world we live in today.
Right.
Today, apparently, I mean, it was news to us. I didn't know. I guess it's 5 hours in now. But about 20 plus people with Greenpeace decided to elaborately rig themselves to the Fred Hartman Bridge over the. It's one of the entrances into the Port of Houston.
Sure, and it's a beautiful fucking bridge.
It is. It's a piece of art, is what it is. And so they've got themselves hung there with banners and flags hanging off. And
who knew you could hang human pinatas from it?
I mean, to tell you,
as far as I'm concerned, all they did was they just added an extra challenge if you're riding in a very high riding boat.
There you go. And they so. I don't think a boat could hit them because that bridge
or ship.
Or ship. That's the right word. Ship could hit them, but the Coast Guard shut the traffic down in the ship channel, and these guys are going to stay up there for 24 hours.
Right.
Okay. And then we've been guaranteed that once that is over, they have 2 school buses up there waiting for them to take them to jail.
Your Uber is here.
Yeah, the Uber.
Your Uber is
your Uber
here.
And your Lyft drivers are here. So I hope you fucking morons I hope you get slammed with everything because, protesting fossil fuel is the most ludicrous thing because we can go on all day long about people that use electric powered cars.
Sure.
Okay, because you saw the thing where that guy can hack 25,000 Teslas.
Netflix, yes.
Yeah,
yes, I saw that.
So where do you think plastic comes from?
Right. Well, and like just within our own network of people is as far as I'm concerned, I remember one guy saying that just the feasibility of trying to get from point A to point B, particularly when we're in Texas, is it just doesn't make sense to drive an electric vehicle that's already not capable of traveling, the distances that most of us drive.
They're having trouble with it in Europe now. They have to have gas-powered vehicles, tow gas-powered generators out to the hinterlands to charge cars up because some moron forgot to plug in their car. It's much like a cell phone. How many people forget to charge their cell phone every day?
Right.
And they pick it up and oh man, I don't have a phone. I can't. What am I going to do?
Now,
same thing with their cars.
To tangent with that, okay. Do I like mass transit? Sure.
Yeah.
Does everybody in the state of Texas need to be driving their own freaking vehicle to get somewhere if there was a system in place that could move a group of people from point A to point B? No, I would like to see that as well. But right now, fossil fuel based on just the economics alone, works better than electricity.
Even
right
with mass transit, I have no problem with electric cars. I
Neither
have
do
no
I.
problem with gas engine cars. I have no problem with mass transit. But here's what I do have a problem with: the people that exploit that. So, for example, mass transit.
Right.
Those have been proven terrorist attack targets.
Well, let's go right back to this bridge.
Yeah, the bridge, same thing.
Bridge thing. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. So you're taking and you're exposing yourself to risk, and everybody says, it's you have the chances of getting in a car wreck are greater than dying in a plane crash. You're still going to die either way.
Well,
you know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute, it's going to happen. I'd rather be in something I can control on the ground where gravity is one of the factors that's not involved.
And that mindset is why people drive their own, because there's a lot of people. It's having positive control of their movements, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, if I can save miles on my vehicle, if I could find a way to move from one place to another and not put miles on my, I'd actually use it. But we don't have anything like that. No,
Houston's kind of the last big city to really to not have that. But if you go to any other cities, then you have BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit System. You have MARTA in Atlanta, which is pretty good. You have the L system in Chicago, and they're only as good as where they protect them,
right?
Because if you're talking 24-hour transit service, and say you're downtown at a bar and you've had a few drinks and you don't want to drive, it's not like you can walk 2 blocks and get on a train without the fear of being mugged. Yeah.
Okay. So I will say from the protection aspect that you're bringing up, as far as like being at targets.
Yeah.
How I would look at it is networks like that would be targets during high traffic times. So you'd be like,
by a terrorist.
Yes.
But not by an opportunistic criminal.
No. Muggers mug all hours of the day.
Yeah. So, and then also too, it's kind of like a deer hunter, okay? When you put up a feeder and a blind, you're looking for trails. You're looking for sign of movement and activity. Just relate it to the same predatorial practice.
Sure.
It's the same thing. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with these clowns. But it's funny because, like I said, we start out looking for funny stories, and we found one this morning that's been going around. And it's funny.
Oh, yes.
So there's apparently this has gone over every wire. Everywhere I've read it, they never said where it happened.
Yeah, we don't have confirmation.
Yeah, any confirmation.
It is still an awesome story, though.
So apparently there was a woman that was getting married, and the day before, a woman and a guy are getting married, and the day before she received a text,
from a mysterious,
or two from a number she's not familiar with, asking her are you sure this is the guy you want to marry? And apparently there was other things that rolled up with that were very graphic in nature.
Right.
There were text exchanges between the two.
Pictures.
All this stuff between her husband-to-be and this other woman.
Mysterious woman.
Yeah, and so it's funny because she wrote a dissertation on it, and she basically said, look, I spent the night thinking about it, the different ways I was going to do this, do that. Instead, she came up with, I think, the most clever plan on the planet. She just waited for the wedding to commence. And so they go through the whole fanfare, friends and family everywhere, caterers, the whole thing is there. When they get up to the altar, when she's walked up to the altar, she turns to the audience and says, look, there's not going to be a wedding today.
Right.
But I want to read you some things.
What was it? What did she say? This is a celebration of truth.
Celebration of truth. That's exactly right.
With a meal. With a meal.
We're going to have a party when it's over, right? And by the way, they paid for it. His family paid for it. And so she gets up there and proceeds to read very graphic descriptions from the text. And the groom hauled ass.
Along with the best man.
With the best man with him. And we heard a funny commentary. And we can't take credit for it. Michael Strahan said it.
It was funny.
He says,
actually, it's the writers.
Yeah, that's probably true. Michael's writers fed it to him.
Credit.
There you go. Said he would love to have seen his Fitbit.
Yeah, at the moment he
heard
split,
that. Yeah, and that's true. The heart rate would be pretty high on that one. But we just want to shout out to that gal and say that is awesome.
That was some Spartan moves.
It's a way to handle it, man. Speaking of Spartan moves, we had fun at lunch today.
Actually, before we get to that, I want to follow up that story with an article that I was reading. I found yesterday from Psychology Today about how to spot a female psychopath.
Oh Lord!
So for me, I call this like regular casual dating.
Guidelines.
Information for me. I'm always because
intel.
The crazier the better. Mm-hmm. So. I thought that was funny. Not that this lady who did what she did at the altar was crazy.
No,
as far as I'm concerned, that's a lady who's fucking kicking ass and taking names.
That was lucid and controlled.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, so you date the opposite of what the list. So that is actually a checklist for you as a go.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So it's all the things not to look for a woman.
Yeah.
Unless you're Sam.
It's like, hey, can you scar my back? Yes. Yeah. During sex or not sex? Sure.
Oh
sure.
my God, that's funny. Well, let's move to lunch.
Yes,
because this could have been a potential date for you. So we meet at Rudy's on Mondays typically. It's close for all of us. It's good barbecue for commercial restaurant barbecue. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just a good place to go. So. The whole thing is you're in line, you're in a maze, and you get called up to the counter. And
snaking up to the line.
So I was behind Sam in this instance, and so the girl calls him up, and I thought it was hilarious. I'll let you tell it from here because it is funny, dude.
So I do just a regular order, and I'm ready to pay, and the thing that she tells me just as she takes my money is. Just kind of hang loose, and I'll grab your meat and sides, and I just get okay. I'm sorry. I have I'm a forever 15-year-old.
Right.
I start laughing my ass off when I step back to Ken. And I'm like, oh yeah. Did you catch that? She's gonna grab my meat and sides. so if you want a good barbecue and maybe like a good tug, go to fucking Rudy's Barbecue.
That was so funny because it never occurred to her. I mean, the good thing is you did turn before we cracked up.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, she had no clue what she said. But that happens all the time. That's just like my double meat thing from 2 weeks ago. That was,
But like my, this happened several years ago. I was still in the Army, and I went to lunch with some other guys in my unit, and we went to what I consider. When you go to Torchy's Tacos, you go to Torchy's in Austin.
Yeah.
Everything else, just Torchy's outside of Austin. It's just like going to fucking Burger King.
Yeah, it's an outlet. I always call them outlet stores.
So we were standing in line, snaking as we do at Rudy's, and there was two ladies behind me at Torchy's, and I had never been to Torchy's at the time, and so I'm talking to my guys, figuring out what to get, and the ladies behind me, one of them said, "Well, I think I'm gonna have the dirty Sanchez." So I freaking spun on my heels and basically introduced myself. So, funny things that you hear in the line when you're getting food.
I'm telling you. Well, you're right, though. So, a lot of places, like I said a minute ago, I call them outlets because the originals, and it's always a gamble in that business, right? Uh-huh. So, there's something about the original. I don't think it's in your mind. I actually think it's the ingredients and the original location and all the stuff that made that restaurant what it was.
And and it's in the kind of the ambiance because I went to one of the originals and it's in a shitty little fucking neighborhood.
And it was good though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then you hit these outlets, which are these really slick retail. They're built by consultants, designers, and accountants.
Right.
And to me, it's a big mistake. I want to see. I'll tell you who I thought did it pretty good was the Shack, the burger place. So they had one off of Cypress Rose Hill.
I was going to say
which is the original one. Remember that one, the Shack?
The original one you and I went to.
Yeah, the original one. And then they built one off of Jones. Now it's closed, I guess.
The one over off of.
It used to be. Yeah, it used to be POs.
Yeah, POs.
It used to be POs, and they were both actually pretty good. I don't know why that one didn't make it.
Right.
But when you go into these slick or sterile, built to make money instead of experiences kind of restaurants like that, they lose a lot. I think they lose a lot. It's just not like eating the original. Because Torchy's, I like Torchy's in Austin. I can't stand this one down the road.
No,
it's terrible.
No,
it's just not the same. But yeah, so you could tell we like to eat and we like tacos.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
We love tacos. We don't necessarily eat them on Tuesdays.
No.
I feel like Wimpy from Popeye. I would like to have a hamburger on Monday.
But I'd gladly pay you Tuesday.
Yeah. So I think that, and I know everybody that is not in their 40s and 50s won't know what the hell we just said. Because, because we grew up with Popeye and all those cartoons as kids.
Now 40s and 50s, they're better. I'm fucking 50.
I said under.
Oh, under.
Under, under. Yeah, no, because youngsters will not know what the hell we just said.
No.
Although our crowd's probably not youngsters, but
only in my mind.
Only in my mind. That's exactly right. But so we kind of run across an interesting debate going on. Actually, it's more than a debate. It's an action on Taco Tuesday. So Taco Tuesday has been synonymous in my mind with tacos forever.
Right.
Okay. And I relate it more towards Taco Tuesdays only because my introduction has been through military guys on Taco Tuesday. Okay, now I know that's not the origin of it, but it was always easy for all of our friends to get together and meet up on Taco Tuesday somewhere. Because
plus, it's an easy thing to remember.
It is very easy. $2 tacos and beer and just sit around and shoot shit and tell stories. So I really didn't think much of it until I read that LeBron James is trying to trademark the term.
Yeah, he was. Right.
So when the story originally came out, it was... LeBron wanted to basically trademark the term for whatever reason. Kingdom building is exactly the right way to put it. Right. Tom said it right on that one. I think he's 100% on the money on that one. And so my take on it was originally, well, here we go. Here's another rich billionaire trying to buy up things like Trump did with "you're fired."
Yeah.
And so, in my mind, he's using it as a revenue generator.
Sure.
Okay. And so I really was kind of hoping it wouldn't work out for him, and it didn't. It didn't work out for him. He ended up not being able to trademark that. But in the aftermath of that, I kind of learned something a little different about why he did it. And you've kind of got more of the story on that, because that was actually a good explanation.
So this morning, when I was following up with, I was already 3 days behind with our just like show prep. So I followed up with this story, and just so happened ESPN had released a story earlier this morning about the current state of his action trying to trademark Taco Tuesday. So they came back and said basically it was a commonplace term that could not be trademarked, and so not gonna let you have it. See you later, Mr. James. And he went on. So like Ken said, is I was thinking at first, hey, good for him not being able to do this, until I read that basically the intent of this action was to make sure that he couldn't be sued in the future by future use of the commonplace term. So at first I was like, couldn't be sued. And then come to find out that basically what he was trying to do is, and this is more of a probably a slap back at how society has turned.
Yeah, because we are very litigious nowadays.
So essentially, I really don't fault LeBron for this at all. As he wanted to make sure that what he tried to do, that if he used the term Taco Tuesday in some future business venture for his, somebody couldn't come back and say, well, I'm going to fucking sue you over this term.
For millions of dollars, because you're a millionaire,
Yeah, and the man has a family, okay? Yeah. Granted, he is a millionaire, hundreds of times over. Or, thereabouts. But he's filthy rich, and he himself has a family to take care of, and nobody's going to motherfuck him for that.
Right.
But there are people out there that
they will, but
but I only kind of bash on him only because I come from a different period of basketball than him. So my heroes in basketball are different than him.
Right.
But when you have people in society that specifically execute actions based on them basically looking at your asset list,
financial gain,
and say, hey, I'm going to fuck. And the thing is they're not looking to win. They're just trying to be a nuisance enough to where somebody will come along and just give you a fucking payday to just go away.
The reward is in the settlement. It's always out of court settlements, and that's how those things work. It's funny because, I don't know. Like I said, I personally don't. My big knock on LeBron is that he names himself the greatest basketball player ever. And I'm not a big fan of that guy. I mean, I think the fans, and it's a thing like Michael Jordan to me is one of the greatest basketball players that ever was. Michael Jordan made everybody around him look good,
right?
Where LeBron was all about worried about just me winning a award, not anybody else. So anyway, that's my hate speech on that.
But
I'm not going to knock his business sense on this because that is smart.
I mean, because we were talking about, I mean, like Shaq. I mean, my God, that when I compare,
I love Shaq, by the way. I love everything that guy does.
But when I look at the smart people in professional sports now, I mean,
do you think it's them or do you think it's their money managers and all their handlers?
Well, whatever it is, if you have people with good freaking advice and you're taking it, great.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. That you're not going to end up like some of these NFL players have had as, you know, they end up, they're
broke.
They retire.
They're drugs.
They retire from the sport, and they're like destitute.
Yeah.
So now with Shaq and LeBron, that's actually really fucking good that they're able to create some sort of something to fall back to when their careers are over and they become businessmen.
Well, as we were digging into it, we found out that there's a group in Minnesota taking claim for the phrase Taco Tuesday. It's a chain up there.
Yeah.
And so that guy apparently has sued everybody.
Was it Minnesota or Wyoming? What it was?
It's one of the two. It's somewhere up in the.
I would not.
Yeah, it's where everybody has blonde hair and blue ears. Yeah, it's always up there.
Vikings.
Yeah, exactly.
Vikings. Trying to take over a Hispanic food.
Yeah. So I think he's protecting himself against that group because they have sued a lot of people over the use of that name.
Okay.
So so we thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of talk about other phrases that are out there that that make the rounds that may or may not get the attention this one gets.
Right.
And LeBron, if you're a fan and you're listening, we may have some $1 million ideas here for you.
Right. So like when I did kind of looking for popular phrases this morning, so it was some of it was easy, some of it it's regional. So it was really kind of hard to find something that like stacks up to Taco Tuesday.
Well, yeah, it's just there's a couple though.
Yeah. So now I will say, for Houston, HISD, their school lunch menu has this thing called Meatless Monday. And because
if you're Catholic, it's Meatless Fridays, okay?
Because actually, So we'll eat the shit out of fish.
Yeah, eat fish, but not meat, right?
Right. So, but the Meatless Monday, which that's sort of we came up with Meatless Monday because we want the vegans to like us.
That's
but actually you have Taco Tuesday,
and that's mostly because they'll be out of energy because they don't eat meat by the middle of the week. So
the vegans they don't go to PE.
Yeah, they're not worth a shit after noon Monday or Tuesday.
So we had everybody's heard like Wing Wednesday, because one of my old buddies and I used to do that too. Now this one person, because I had to fall back to Reddit for some of this,
right?
But they had like Wine and Wing Wednesday, which I was like, okay, that kind of churched it up a little.
That's the hoity-toity crowd.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's where everybody's got their fucking pinky up.
That's right.
Thirsty Thursday, and who hasn't heard of Thirsty Thursday? So basically it's Liquid Lunch Day. This one here I really like because I thought it was very imaginative. Was Stir Friday.
Yeah, that's clever play.
That was pretty goddamn
I actually
clever.
like that one. Yeah, that's pretty good. Stir Friday.
Now, if I'm a kid,
yeah,
I'm all about Mac and Cheese Monday.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. Fajita Friday.
Right, that's been around.
Yep. And I think this was up in the Northeast somewhere. They had like a Meatloaf Monday, which is kind of a slapback to the whole Meatless Monday. But here's the one that
this is a good one.
The source is horrible, but the one complaint came from the prisons, and they hate Sausage Sunday. Let that seep in. Just let that stew for a while.
Wow. Yeah, that would be kind of intense. Take that any way you want.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So anyway, but between that and then we were talking about what are some of the what if some cultural group wanted to get into getting into I don't know, like Asian food or whatever, we would call it fusion.
So,
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So we have some new fusion terms.
That's the lifesaver if you want to venture off outside of your cultural AO.
So if you were like a fan of tomahawk steaks and you were of that nature, but you like wok fried food, just call it tomahawk wok.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Tomahawk wok.
Right.
So we have that, right? Which would be kind of a redneck fusion food,
right?
I would think.
Now, I did come up with kind of a Native American thing too. And it was like, this was if a Native American tribe wanted to do a fusion restaurant. So I was like, one of the dishes I came up with was, how about dim sum buffalo?
That could work for wings too.
Oh,
Think about that.
Well, it helps you slide into, okay, I can get you to eat chicken if I can slowly get you to try buffalo.
And I'll tell you, dim sum's not that bad. I actually like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of some of my favorite food.
And then the other thing that I didn't know that they were kind of known for was fry bread.
Oh, yeah. Indian fry bread is, it's like they make tacos with them.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was funny is, with the whole cannabis craze, you can actually step up your game with this fry bread by throwing a little bit of, or introducing the cannabis
fried bread.
Yeah, fried bread.
You can feed those people anything though. That's the thing. When they get the munchies, they'll eat cardboard.
Still ate.
Back in the day, I used to help a friend run a pizza joint, and he would always open later in the day and stay open later at night for that crowd.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would be like
for the, native, like
for the stoner crowd.
Oh yeah,
because he was a stoner himself, and
I do a lot of burritos.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Because I don't partake, so for me, I like being the straight guy in the room of screwed up people. Because it's just
we make you laugh.
It's funnier that way, man. It's so much fun. So yeah, that's pretty good. I know we had a couple good ones here. Unfortunately, I'm not looking at my notes like you are, so you probably have more written down than I can remember.
Well, yeah. So and these are just because I had little time to prep. But I was thinking of some of the things that we were trying to twist up to come up with, like funny restaurants or foods or collaborations, fusion as you call it. So what if a redneck wants to make a taco? Well, naturally, in my mind, it was like, I'm just going to take a pancake, some pan sausage, and throw that in there, and that's very
actually Sonic does that.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of places do breakfast wraps now using a pancake.
Right. Well, and so I guess, what do they call it? Because I'm kind of thinking
I'd have to look it up.
I'm thinking anything with redneck in the name's probably not going to be a good.
I think they just call it. I think they just call it a dunker or a pancake wrap. Now, Dunkin' Donuts has the same thing, which is actually really good. It's a really thin pancake,
right?
And they put Canadian bacon. It's really good.
Like a crepe? Yeah,
not quite like a crepe. It's between a pancake and a crepe.
Okay.
It's actually really good. So, yeah, it's just kind of fun because you were kidding about cowboy sushi earlier.
Yes.
And I actually make that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when I thought about it, I was like, I bet you I'm going to say something about cowboy sushi, and he's going to tell me it's a thing.
It is a thing. It is. If you look at tartare, look at steak tartare.
Okay.
That's actually one of the foundations. I mean, when you look at sushi, first of all, the Americans' view of sushi is an American take on sushi.
Sure.
It is not the same in Japan. Sushi is very regional, and it's very time-honored. I took a sushi class in California years ago. I was there for a week.
Right.
And I can tell you, I was laughing the whole time, but the dude that we took the class from just hated having to teach Americans this class.
Well, I keep getting visions of wags.
Yeah, exactly.
Sitting in that freaking sushi bar. Oh,
losing
my God.
It on that dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny is, there's a series we watched called Billions, and Wagner's a purist. He's one of these guys that has many interests, many freaky interests, but he's still a purist when it comes to the finer things of life.
Yes.
Sushi is one of them. And they're eating at one of the finest sushi joints in New York. I mean, this is high dollar place.
Yes.
And so his big gripe was this guy was ordering a roll, and they were mixing the wasabi with the soy and then dipping the sushi in there and not really there's a whole protocol when you walk into a sushi restaurant. You acknowledge the sushi chef. There's a nod that exchanges between the two of you. The seat assignments are pretty much directed by that guy,
Right.
and your entire dining experience can either be really good or really bad, but it's your interaction with the chef.
You're just not supposed to consume like their $2 hot dogs at the gas
Yeah,
station.
exactly. And then mixing of the wasabi with the soy is a no-no.
Okay.
Because the way it's made was the wasabi goes on the top for the roof of your mouth. You dip the sushi in the soy sauce at the bottom of the palate, so you have a spectrum
Okay.
of flavor. And when you taste this stuff,
So I'm even doing it wrong.
yeah, a lot of people do because it's very Americanized. And also too, a lot of the sushi you eat is Americanized.
Sure.
Especially rolls. So a lot of the rolls are, hand rolls are closer to tradition, but not meant to be a sushi lesson. But anyway, yeah, he goes off on this dude in epic manner, and it was really good. But so cowboy sushi, I was telling Sam earlier, is really kind of a knockoff on real Japanese sushi because they'll use Kobe beef and they'll use raw meat, and they'll do the same thing. I did mine with thin sliced brisket, dirty rice, jalapenos, avocados. I did all that.
So just imagine a sushi chef just with a cowboy hat on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a good experience. I mean, the nice thing about food like that is the fusion. I mean, we make fun of rednecks and we're making fun of food cultures,
Right.
in a way, but think about some of the best foods you get to eat. It's somewhere in between. It's somebody that was either been stoned, drunk, or broke. That has invented some shit that's just been phenomenal to eat.
Just with those little different variations, all I just heard was imaginative.
Yeah, very imaginative. And it's funny because don't think for a minute that fried bologna is not a gourmet item.
Oh, I love fried bologna.
I'm telling you, that's one of our favorite things is fried bologna where I'm from. I went to a place called the Burn Company Barbecue in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they take bologna to the next level. So a chub is a 5-pound roll. I know. Here we go.
15-year-old came out.
A chub of meat, right? So it's a 5 to 10-pound roll of bologna. Okay, and it's wrapped in that famous red plastic.
Sure.
So
Oscar Mayer.
Yeah. So what you do basically is you take that red plastic off and you marinate it in your favorite sauce, which could be Worcestershire or whatever it is. Just get a good soak going on it.
I'm not quite sure if you actually pronounce that word the way it's supposed
I know,
to be.
it's a hard word.
It doesn't sound anything like how I say it.
Worcestershire sauce.
Like
Yeah,
I say it like I'm
Worcestershire.
drunk. I say it like I'm drunk.
I think everybody does. I don't think anybody knows what it is. So you soak it in the brown sauce, and then you put your rub on it, and you put it in a smoker. And as you smoke it, then you can baste it with barbecue sauce. And I'm going to tell you, when that shit comes out, it is phenomenal.
Really?
It is. It's not brisket. It's not a pork butt, but it is smoked infused bologna. And oh my God, is it good! And so you can buy it. You can get the burnt ends like they do with brisket.
Okay.
Or you can just get it sliced on a sandwich. And I'm telling you, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make one. Okay, and we'll just get the guys over.
Okay.
And we'll do a barbecue bologna party in the backyard, because I'll tell you what, with beer, there's nothing better. That stuff is phenomenal. Makes the best sandwiches in the world. So yeah, I kind of play around with Indian food a lot too.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, curries and all the stuff that. So when you start looking at food combinations like that, I mean, look at how many restaurants are in our area now that are kind of doing fusion like that.
Yeah.
We got a lot of them.
Well, yeah, they are.
We got a lot of fusion places popping up because I think people get tired of eating the same shit.
Yes.
I mean, I know we have took a huge curve away from making fun of redneck fusion, but what's really funny is that we're always seeking out places. I'll tell you, the place I think that we hit the best luck on was Reveille.
Okay, Reveille Barbecue.
Reveille Barbecue up in Magnolia. I can't wait till they open a new building, because what they did, and it actually Tejas and Tomball is on that same roll. I ran into Scott the other day at I was at Mandy's, and him and his wife were there.
Okay.
And so they're doing some cool fusions as well. And
Mandy's?
Not Mandy's, but Tejas.
Okay.
Tejas. So what I love about Texas? Well, there's a lot of stuff to love about it, but we are in a hub of food culture diversity. If you think about it.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I mean, Houston's pretty international city.
Houston's very international. Dallas is a little more eclectic. So when you get somewhere in between there, I like eating in the big city. I don't have a big problem with it, but I like all these hole in the walls that dudes just come up with shit that's phenomenal, right? So when you're riding through and you run across the place, and say you run across chicken and waffles, with a curry on it.
That's interesting. Okay,
dude, it's really good. I mean, it's like, so you run in places like that. You get a lot of these restaurants that are stepping out of the norm, because my wife and I always, anybody that's dated, anybody that's hung out with friends, the worst question you can ask is, where do you want to go eat?
Right.
Because nobody knows. Okay? And then when you get there, you complain about the choice you made. But there are a few places coming up now that when you pick them, you know you've made the right choice.
Uh-huh.
And that's all because of fusion. People are taking different flavors and ideas, and they're trying them out, and they're actually putting them out there. And the smaller guy is less risk adverse as the larger restaurants, if you think about it. So a restaurant would have to set up a group of features, right, that keeps the steady customers happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to kind of dabble with the experiments. Okay, you saw a great example of that in the movie Chef with Jon Favreau.
With that concept, that's actually a deal. Actually, my friend Lewis, I went to school with. He's
a big food guy too.
He hits some of the most interesting places, but his experiences also, because of the relationships he's built, has put him in the kitchen.
Oh yeah,
like there's one place he goes to off an I-10. And it's a more of an Asian type cuisine, but he knows the chef over there, and actually he and his girlfriend did I guess the chef over there did kind of a special cooking session with him.
Chef's table.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah,
it's what they call chef's table. Yeah,
he has this thing about paella, and so apparently this chef over there is known for his paella.
Right.
And Lewis is like a freaking nut when it comes to this, because he talks about it all the time. So between, Lewis hitting all these different little places here, whether it's, some East or West Asian cuisine somewhere, or he goes down to freaking South Texas to partake in some barbacoa that came out of the fucking ground. Or, I mean, he's pretty experimental with all of his eating.
He really is, and being a salesman, you get to do that. It's really funny because that's where I got most of my food experiences as well. So when you're taking a client out, you want to take them somewhere cool. I mean, somewhere where they've not been before. It's just kind of neat because you've introduced them to something and they perceive you as, wow, this guy he's really cool. He knows some cool places.
Right.
And so when you look at just where we live, we have Hispanic food culture, and Hispanic food culture is multifaceted.
I was going to say it's not just one thing.
It's not just one, and so we have most of them here. So you have Honduran, Guatemala, and you'll have
which is completely different than Mexico.
Cuban, Mexican, Tex-Mex. A lot of great foods were invented here. The chimichanga invented here in Houston. Right. I mean, you got a lot of stuff that's in this area that comes off of that. But then you have, French kind of gives itself to everything.
Right.
I think the world between the Mediterranean and France, they've kind of influenced almost everything. So you have that. You've got Italian. You've got Czech.
Right.
You've got German. Then you run into the Asian culture, which is almost as diverse as the Hispanic culture.
Correct. Right.
So you have all these different fusions. And what is interesting about generational growth in the restaurant business is all these kids are trying new things. They're not sticking with. They understand the parents taught them the traditional norms, but they take that education and they put it with stuff they like. And so it's funny because when you're traveling around, you run into people like that that'll say, "How, I was raised on traditional Chinese food, but I took it to the barbecue level," And so I used to teach Boy Scouts how to cook in Dutch ovens. I was a Boy Scout, so I wanted to give back to the local scouts.
Right.
So I would spend time judging competitions like that, and also teaching kids how to use that tool to make some of the greatest things in the world. And I will tell you, I didn't have a high expectation when I went into it.
Right.
But when I was done, I was completely blown away of the creativity that these kids were putting into it. because we have a very culturally diverse circle now with different pieces of fabric weaving into this food culture, and you start seeing some of the most creative things ever in a simple tool like a Dutch oven, because you challenge a kid. Because when you say Dutch oven, the first thing you think of is, oh, I'm going to make chili or I'm going to make stew. Not these guys. They're making like chicken tikka masala, and they're doing a Texas twist on it. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it was just incredible. Naan, you can fry Indian fry bread, whatever it is. And so that's what I think is fun about fusion. Rednecks, whether you're rich. I mean, I think poor food is the best food, because you have simple staples that you have to feed people with repeatedly, and you don't want it to taste the same way every time. I mean, macaroni and cheese, and I'd say we should open a place that's macaroni and cheese and fried bologna. Shit.
Just ramen soup alone.
Oh, yeah.
You got guys that go out there and buy the stuff off the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
And then they turn it into this immaculate feast.
I used to buy it just for the seasoning.
Okay.
They had one called an Oriental. Oriental noodle. I would throw that shitty. So, funny thing about ramen noodles, by the way. So ramen noodles were invented after they blew the shit out of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
I remember the story about
they had to get calories into people. That's not the healthiest thing to eat on a sustained level.
No.
The ramen you buy in the grocery store from Nissan is not the same thing you buy in a ramen noodle house.
Right.
Because we've got some great noodle houses around us right now.
Yeah, we
do.
I
love doing those things. And so, so the noodles are a whole different world. But yeah, I think anybody that went to college lived off of mac and cheese, ramen noodles, tuna.
Yeah, I'll kill some tuna.
Yeah, all that stuff. Egg salad, all the stuff like that. Bologna sandwiches. And Vienna sausage. Remember those?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. You can church those up quite a bit and turn them into something that's unbelievable.
I will take potted meat over fucking Vienna sausage.
Okay, so potted meat is just Vienna sausage loosely managed.
That's like Vienna sausage. It's collected with a broom.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. But yeah, so the food culture is really a lot of fun. We enjoy it a lot. I know as a group, we kind of spend a lot of time talking about things like that. But it's funny because the vernacular that's woven its way into our society, Taco Tuesday, Fajita Fridays. I mean, even happy hour means something different now than it did when we were younger. So when we were younger, happy hour would be places like clubs that would have ladies' nights.
It was like Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Wednesday was the happy hour.
Wednesday was happy hour. So what they would do is they would have free food for ladies.
Right.
And free drinks. And so that would be a way to get women congregated. And then all the guys would show up, right, and hang out with the food and the drink and meet girls. So that's just how it was. Now happy hour is just all about booze right now. You don't see very much food given out anymore, but yeah, so I mean, it's kind of one of those things that brings us all together. Guys like LeBron, like I said, I changed my mind. Like I started a story out about thinking, oh, here we go. But now I understand why he does it.
Right.
And when you look at the creativity side of food, television has taken this thing to a whole new level, because now everybody, I mean, not even TV, YouTube.
Oh, I mean, like just with the cooking shows.
Yeah, the cooking
and stuff?
shows. The level of learning with cooking used to be PBS was the largest source for cooking shows. You had great chefs, great cities. You had Justin Wilson. You had you had Pasquale's. You had Molto Mario. You had all these guys that were Yan Can Cook.
Okay.
I mean, and then you had Julia Childs and Graham Kerr. You had all these guys piling up. Even Jacques Pepin had a show on PBS.
Okay.
And I've got video cassette tapes down in a storage closet full of all these shows I've recorded over the years, because that's how I learned a lot of stuff.
Okay. And
so now it's all mainstream, it's all YouTube, and it's just hell. We're on Facebook doing food stuff all the time.
Sure.
So it's food is one of those things that, like I said, he can't own that. LeBron cannot own that.
Nobody can own it.
But he can protect himself for sure.
Sure.
From being sued by whoever wants to go after him, because he is now a target because he is a billionaire. Sure. And it's kind of sad, because nobody's going to sue you over Tomahawk Walk.
Yeah.
or anything like that. But it's kind of funny. I mean, but leaves us with one question, because, we have an African food culture as well, a huge one. And I think that's where a lot of our food comes from. a lot of good food in the state comes from.
Right.
Soul food. So my question is, and you asked me this earlier, can gingers make soul food?
I don't know. That's the parting question.
It really is. I think that'd be something we need to explore a little more because...
Actually, I want the people to mull that question over and then go to my Facebook page, our Facebook page, and freaking give us your thoughts.
Because I would love to see that.